are working on a city building game where every action you take has a direct impact on your city and the lives of your citizens. But at the moment the lifespan of your citizens is quite short because cars are way too aggressive and just drive over all of them. Also, the people kind of throw themselves at cars like they want to be reincarnated into another world, so I'm not really sure who's to blame here. And how do I fix that? Well, on the surface my game seems to be working just fine, but on the inside everything's kinda broken. Oh, just like me. For example, at the moment you can't destroy roads. Obviously not an issue for a pro gamer like you or me, but someone like a game reviewer might struggle with that. So, what does this have to do with people getting driven over? Well, the intersections are completely broken in all ways. They basically only work if two roads align, meaning that creating an intersection like this wouldn't be possible. That is because I had the genius idea to hard code the intersection generation for 8 different cases. Yeah, pretty stupid in hindsight. The thing is, the round part here between the roads is the only part that really changes. So if I just generate that round part, I can generate intersections way easier. And with just a few thousand lines of code, the new intersection system is now working and you can create really weird intersections and even destroy them. Also, now I'm even no longer constrained by mere 4-way intersections but can create an infinite amount of them. Even though I'm not really too sure how you'd manage this monstrosity.
In 50 meters take that Welt exit on the left side, then follow the road for 3 kilometers.
It was at this moment that he knew. He YouTubed up.
Crash. Boom. Oh no.
Now that you can in theory create a bajillion-way intersection, I also need to update the pathfinding system in hopes that this doesn't happen anymore. Generating all the car lanes for the intersection wasn't too complicated and looked really cool. The problem is, the old system that I used was pretty bad. There was just one lane for every street and the cars just adjusted the offsets and rotation accordingly. But sometimes the cars did mess up their calculations and they just drifted randomly all over the map. To fix that, every path has their own lane now, so they don't need to calculate anything. Finally, all the groundwork is done for the pathfinding system and it should only take me roughly about a week or so to get this going again. 1 month later. So yeah, this took way longer than I thought. But hey, they finally drove to their destinations and look exactly like before. Nice. The traffic lights also work like you'd expect them to, with only one exception. So the cars do not have any animations running and do not look weird when they stop. The NPCs on the other hand. So I do not have an idle animation for the NPCs and I cannot be bothered to make one. So I did the only obvious thing. I stopped that time. Also, I have no idea how to efficiently control this mess of an intersection, so if you want this, that's your problem. By default, the traffic light will just activate one road at a time, so good luck waiting a few hours for your turn. Now that my spaghetti card isn't spaghetti anymore but linguine, I can finally do what I do best. Making people unhappy. Up until now, people didn't really have a reason to get unhappy. Their day consisted of either getting to work or getting run over, so they mostly did have a pretty fulfilling life. But now that that's out of the way, I need to give them an outlet for their anger, and wouldn't riots be perfect for that? Walk down a street, sit on a street, build a wall, destroy a wall. Humans seem to be really indecisive on how they want to do protests. But I want to keep it simple, and I want to create 3 riot levels, depending on how unhappy your citizens are. The first stage is basically the Canadian level of protests. They stand around without really causing any trouble. So I created a sign that people can wave around and added some text. Then I created some animations and just look at them protesting in the middle of nowhere against gravity. A protest in the middle of nowhere doesn't really make sense, does it? Then I remembered the all-beloved SimCity, where people always used to stand in front of the town hall to riot. I really don't want to make a town hall at the moment, so I made a rubber duck instead. Which is from now on the official town hall until I can be bothered to make an actual building. But in my opinion it also fits the protests way better and even gave me an idea. You know, nowadays protests are way too serious and are not fun at all. I thought, why not add some fun protests, like a protest for rubber duck equality. If you have any idea for fun protests or just signs, let me know them in the comments below. But remember, I don't want any actual serious topics. Even more serious are stage 2 riots. Because the protesters walk down a street and cause a big traffic jam. I made a few new animations again, and this time they are protesting against people who haven't Oh yeah, remember how I fixed accidental road rage? Well, it's not accidental anymore, because I thought life's a bit boring without the small possibility of dying every day. But don't worry, no one came to harm during the making of this video. No one. I still haven't explained how I make people do the big sleep, and for that I need ragdolls. Creating a ragdoll isn't too complicated. I just require a few joints and colliders, and tada, ragdoll. Because ragdolls are quite computationally expensive, I swap out the NPC with a ragdoll only when the NPC gets hit by a car. And even the 4th time you get in this video, it still is a lot of fun. Finally, stage 3. Similar to cancer, you don't want to have it. People will get really aggressive and start throwing stuff at buildings. I borrowed some animations and implemented them. They're not throwing anything at the moment, and I don't want to make my game too brutal, but luckily I remembered this old German TV ad.
Molly Cocktail, der Molotow-Cocktail für Kids. Viel Spaß beim Unruhestiften. Es ist der absolute Knaller.
Jetzt neu, Handgranate für Kids.
So I hopped into Blender and remade family-friendly objects that the NPCs can throw. And just look at them having family-friendly fun. Oh, by the way, did you notice that I love slightly inconveniencing my NPCs? When I implemented the ragdolls, I had an idea. What if you could pick up the NPCs and throw them around? I immediately wrote a script that always attracts the NPC to a certain point. And playing around with that is already extremely fun. Then I made the point follow the mouse cursor and tada! You can now pick up NPCs. And I also noticed that it's a really good way to get rid of annoying protesters who go against your ways. Only a slight inconvenience is that as soon as you pick somebody up, they're basically dead and won't move anymore even if you let them go. I could either just teleport them back to their original position or make them walk back by foot, but I'm not too happy with either solution, so I'll figure something better out in the future. Past me was also not happy looking at the same 3 buildings all the time, so I took a flight to Sweden because they do have buildings there, I think. Airport vlog! Guys, they stole half a chair. Can't have shit in Detroit. Nobody came. Alpha buildings. I can go home now. This vlog is brought to you by me and my need for a tax write-off, because this was definitely not a vacation. With my newfound inspiration, I made almost 30 new buildings, but there's a catch. Like Pokemon, each building evolves given the right circumstances. And surprise, you were already able to see all these buildings throughout the video, because I made them months ago. In the next video, I'm gonna implement time control and a few other basic things. So if you want to see people moving at 1000 times the speed, you know what to do.